Well, hey guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Look, if I haven't had the chance to meet you yet, my name is Tim Powell, and my wife Shelly and I have the privilege and the honor of being the campus pastors here at the Greenbrier campus for New Life Church. We've been walking through and taking an in-depth look at what the biblical perspective of leadership is supposed to look like. Today specifically, I want to take a look at what does authority inside leadership look like from a biblical perspective. We know we've been given the perfect example of what biblical leadership is supposed to look like with the life of Christ. How do we reflect the love of Christ in our day-to-day life? Whether it's in the workplace, maybe some of you own a company, you own a corporation, and you have many people that work under you. Maybe you're at home and you're leading your family. But I believe there's a few principles that if we will put in place in our day-to-day life, that we can do a better job of reflecting the love of Christ in everything that we do. Not only is it a way to reflect the love of it, but I believe that God has called us to do just this. There's three areas that I believe are important. If you're taking any notes, I believe the first one is service. I believe we're called to serve. The Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve others. We see it in Mark 10:45. It's so important that the people that you're communicating with and that you're leading understand that you're willing to serve just as they do. What is your heart behind the leadership? What is your heart behind the people that you are overseeing and that you're managing? I believe it's important that they see us as a servant leader. If Jesus came to serve others, I believe that is a great example for us and the way that we should work in our day-to-day life. The next area I believe is important is respect. There was a quote that I read from Rick Warren. It said, "The first job of leadership is to love people. Leadership without love is manipulation." Wow, that's pretty pointed. So the first one is serve, the next one is respect. We have to love others. If we are Christ followers, we're in the people business first and foremost. It's so important that we understand that the people that are working for us or working with us, they too have a busy routine. They have things that are going on in their life. And regardless of the project that we're trying to accomplish, if we don't love our people first, if they don't know that we care about them and their well-being, well, it doesn't really motivate anybody to complete a task. So the first one is service. The next one is respect. And the next one that I want to talk about is the reflection. So we serve, we respect, and we reflect. So how do we reflect Jesus? This last week, my wife and I had the opportunity to get away for a day. It was a one-night, quick trip out of town. By the time we arrived at our hotel, we were tired, we were exhausted, we were ready to crash for a little while. So we checked into our room and got our luggage and got on the elevator and started to the 16th floor. We made it to about floor 14, and when we got to floor 14, the elevator dropped about 5 feet and stopped. Well, needless to say, it was a little uncomfortable for a second. We didn't know if it was going to continue to fall the rest of the 14 floors or what was going on. So we kind of looked at each other and we pushed the emergency button, but I'll never forget the way that the general manager of this facility responded. He came and we were able to pry the door open enough to communicate with him. We were stuck in between floors, and the first thing he wanted to know is how we were doing. You could tell he was concerned about our well-being. But at that moment, I began to think, he's also watching us. I don't know if this was the first time that this had ever happened with him or not, but we could have been a little rude at that point. It was a quick getaway. It was an opportunity for us to relax and rest, and here we are stuck on an elevator. I know there was a time in my life when I probably wouldn't have responded the same way that I responded this particular time. But he was watching how we responded. Well, I got to thinking, you know what? The people that we're in contact with in the workplace, they're watching how we respond, especially in adverse situations. How do we respond when things do not go the way that we want them to go? Do we get mad and do we blow up and do we begin to blame everyone else? Or do we listen? We learn, we grow, we ask for input. Are we a true reflection of the way that Jesus would respond in a difficult situation? This day on the elevator reminded me of the importance of being prepared to respond to others around us. That turned into a great selfie with all the fire department. Yes, I said the fire department. They had to call the fire department to get us out of this elevator, guys. We were laughing by the time it was all over with. For about 45 minutes, though, we were stuck inside of an elevator with no cell service, not sure how long we were going to be there. but the importance of making sure that we're responding with the people with love. It wasn't the manager's fault that that elevator failed. It wasn't the fire department's fault. No, it just happened. Life happens. So how do we respond to adverse times? How do we respond when things don't go the way that we want them to go? Are we responding with love? Are we responding with respect? Are we a reflection of Jesus? Or do we let the flesh take over? I know there's been times in my life, if I was honest, I've let the flesh take over. But I think it's important that we stay prayed up and prepared to be a true reflection of what it is that Christ has called us to do. So serve others, respect others, and be a reflection of the love of Jesus Christ. And I believe that's exactly what God has called each and every one of us as leaders to. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you soon.